Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. My name is Sudhir Sahasranaman, and you're watching Win with Sudhir. This is the channel where I teach students of class 9 and 10th of CBSE board, and the subjects I'm going to teach here are English, Science, and Social Science. So, as part of this particular syllabus for class 10, I'm going to look at the first poem of your syllabus of your textbook, First Flight. Okay, this is called Dust of Snow. It's a very small poem, so this video won't be too long. It is written by Robert Frost. So what is the poem all about? Dust of Snow by Robert Frost is a short 8-line poem. That's all it is. It's a very short poem. What does it talk about? It talks about an insignificant moment in nature that can have a deep impact on a person's mental state. See, why I'm teaching you in English is because you can begin to use the same words and phrases that I am using in my videos and use them in your answers so that your answers look that much better, of better quality. The poem also highlights the healing power of nature. That is, nature has the ability to convert a bad mood into a good mood, a bad moment, a negative moment into a positive moment, put you in a positive frame of mind. And therefore, it highlights the importance of these small positive experiences. Haven't you seen, you go somewhere, someone says, you're looking very smart today. It kind of makes you feel good about yourself, right? Someone says, I'm sure you will have a very good day today. You're not going to crack a deal. You're going to do very well in your exam today. Someone says that. It could be the security guard in your building. It could be the gardener who you meet on your way to school. It could be a school bus driver. But that makes you feel more positive, right? So small steps can actually make you feel good and put you in a positive frame of mind. That's what this poem essentially talks about. So let me get into the line by line explanation. Stanza 1 says, the way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. The speaker is standing under a hemlock tree. Now, what kind of a tree is a hemlock tree? Hemlock tree is a poisonous tree with small white color flowers. So what happens is that a crow happens to shake the tree because it is sitting on the branch of the tree, and as a result of its weight, it shakes that particular tree. And at that time, it has been snowing out there. It's a winter season, peak winter season. So there is snow on the branches of the hemlock tree. So that snow falls on the speaker. As you can see in the illustration, on his hair, on his shoulder, on his neck, etc., the snow falls. So a crow happens to shake the tree, perhaps by landing on the branch or taking off, causing the fine particles of snow, the dust. It is referred to as the dust of snow, to fall on the speaker, right? Dust because one, it is fine particles of snow, right? Also, it may seem very insignificant, which is why he has used the word dust. Dust is something which is very insignificant, normally associated with something negative. There is dust on the table, please wipe it clean, right? So it is seen as something avoidable, right? Let's move to the symbolism. The symbolism is that the crow signifies the sorrowful mood of the narrator. The hemlock tree is also a negative symbol because it is a poisonous tree. So both the crow and the hemlock tree signify that the poet was not in a good mood, and he is describing his dark and bitter side of nature to present his similar mood. That is, my mood is very similar to the dark and bitter side signified by the hemlock tree, signified by the crow. Then, as I said, both the hemlock tree and the crow are symbols of sorrow, of gloom, and of death. And by choosing these two symbols instead of something beautiful like a beautiful lark or a maple tree, which is a beautiful looking tree, so Robert Frost is very deliberately setting a very dark mood at the start of the poem. Is this clear? Now, let's go to the second stanza. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Now, the sudden cold touch of the snow, the dust of snow, it surprises the speaker. And as a result, you know what happens? Somebody puts an ice behind your this thing. How would you this thing? You will not feel very amused by it, but it's something which kind of, makes you kind of wriggle and feel in a very awkward kind of a mood, right? So it kind of gives him a smile, it surprises him and it breaks his chain of negative thoughts, and his heart undergoes a change of mood. Something like that. Snow falling. Snow is something very nice, right? Though he has used the word dust deliberately to kind of temper it down, right? But snow, as a, when you get snowstorm, you generally play with the snow, you feel good about it, right? So the outcome is that he had felt regret or bitterness about his day, but this tiny natural event, because he, right, of a day I had rued, right? Rued means you feel bad or you feel bitter about something. So far about the day, he was feeling very bitter, but this tiny natural event of the snow falling on his shoulder because of the crow sitting on the branch of the hemlock tree, it had saved the remaining part of the day. It allowed him to stop thinking about his problems. He realizes that he had wasted a part of his day thinking about all the negative things that were happening with him in his life. He was sorrowful as a result, but now he's feeling more positive. His spirit is revived, and he decides that he's going to spend the rest of the day in a constructive, positive manner, right? So that is what the poem does. So the broad themes of this particular poem, the first one is the healing power of nature. The nature as symbolized by the hemlock tree, the nature as symbolized by the crow, and the nature as symbolized most importantly by snow. So that nature has the ability to cure a person's bad mood. Even so-called ugly parts of nature, like a crow. Crow is not the most beautiful bird to look at, right? It can actually lead to joy, right? The second theme is that the small moments having a big impact. Life is made of small events. As I give you an example, someone saying something nice about you, or someone calls you and says, give you an example. Something happened day before yesterday. Someone I knew was on tour, and my wife met somebody who was saying some good things about a third person. So my wife made it a point to call up the third person and said that this person was saying very nice things about you. Now, what will it have? One, you see the impact. One, that person, the third person, would have felt good that, oh, that person was praising me, was saying good things about me, even while I was not present. Point number two, that this lady coming from outside the state has talked to me, has made an effort to call me and convey the positive things to me. So that is again, so it would make him feel good about my wife's gesture also. Third, it would make him even more positively inclined towards that person who has said something good about him when he was not present. So as I always say, if you spread positivity, it always makes this world a better place to live in. And whatever you throw into the world, it always comes back to you with interest. So life is made of small events. We often made for, big miracle will happen. No, it is the small gestures which make life. Zindagi isi ko kehte hain, this is life, right? So small spontaneous moments can be very transformative. The shift from a state of regret, depression, negativity, bad mood, it shifts to a mood of hope and feeling very positive. What are the poetic devices, figures of speech used so far? Crow, snow, heart, part. So the rhyme scheme is AB, AB, CD, CD, crow and snow, me and tree, heart and part, mood and rude, right? Then the alliteration, the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words. S, S, H, H. Okay. Then enjambment, because there is no break in the sentence. So this is when a sentence continues into the next line without any punctuation at the end. The entire poem is actually one single sentence, which creates a sense of continuous flow like a river. So the way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So you see that this entire poem is actually one sentence, right? So this is the poetic device of enjambment. Okay. Then the other poetic device of symbolism, that crow and hemlock tree, as I told you, they represent sadness, they represent negativity. Dust of snow represents a spark of joy. It's a fresh perspective. It is something which makes your day better. It kind of fills you with a lot of joy. What is the poet trying to convey? Robert Frost is conveying that perspective is everything. Perspective, if I say in Hindi, is dekhne ka nazariya. That is the way you look at life. If you keep thinking, "Arey yaar, my life is very bad. I got only 8 out of 10." Somebody else may be happy with 6 out of 10 also, right? So my life is very bad. I lost 2 marks. Everything happens bad with me also. If you keep crying victimhood all the time, it's not the right perspective, right? So what Frost is saying is that we should not judge things by their outward appearance, like that of a crow, or traditional associations like hemlock tree with poison. A crow is seen as a bad omen. If you see a crow, it is not seen as something very good. Hemlock tree is poisonous, yet in this poem, they become the instruments of joy. Please use this phrase in your answers. Okay. So Frost encourages the reader to be open to the small, everyday beauty of the world, as it has the power to save us from our own internal gloom. You see beauty out in the world, you will feel happy, you will participate, and that can make your mind, your heart that much more happy. Okay, like this boy in the picture, right? So with this, we come to the end. I will do the question and answers in a separate video, right? So please like, share, subscribe, hype this particular video and the channel. Share the video with other students of class 10 so that our Win with Sudhir family can become big. And just like I've helped lots of students, ICSE students, I have been a CBSE student myself, so I understand CBSE much better than ICSE. So just like we have helped a lot of students in English, social science in ICSE, I wish to do the same for you in class 10 CBSE. So let's begin this journey, and I will hope that this is going to be an absolute cracker of a journey. Okay, Tata, bye-bye. Thank you very much. Namaskar.